Before we get started into this video, if you haven't already checked it out, I've done an interview with the CEO of Swim England, Jane Nickerson. It was great fun meeting Jane and speaking to Jane, and I would really appreciate it if you checked it out. I will leave a link at the end of this video on the end screen of this video. Alright, so without further ado, let's get on with this week's video. Hey, how's it going guys, and welcome back to another video. On this week's video, I will be going through my top 5 female swimming races. A couple of weeks ago, I done my top 5 male swimming races, and this week it is time for the girls. So without further ado, let's get on with my top 5 list. Coming in at number 5 is Lily King 100 metre breaststroke at the World Championships in Budapest 2017. So at these World Championships, it's a very stacked field. You have the world record holder, which is Ruta Meliti. I beg I said that right. Yulia Efimova, who was the previous world champion in this event in 2015. And of course you have Lily King, who is the Olympic champion in this event. Now prior to this event, Lily King and Efimova had a very intense rivalry at the Olympic Games. So a little bit of a backstory, Efimova was suspended for taking drugs, and she was eligible to be back racing just before the Olympic Games, and there was a bit of a predicament whether she should be racing or shouldn't be racing, but anyways, she was allowed to race, unfortunately. There was a lot of frustrated people, including myself, because she shouldn't deserve to be swimming. Every time that she came out on the block, she got this massive boo in front of the crowd. But anyways, on the semi-final of the 100 metre breaststroke at the Rio Olympics, she touched first in the first semi-final, and then she done the little finger wag. In the call room, there is TV, so like the other swimmers were able to watch what was going on. There was a shot of Lily King watching Efimova do the finger wag, and Lily King done this back.
A 19-year-old Lily King during the semifinals of the 100 meter breaststroke. King wagging her finger at an image of Russian rival Yulia Efimova, who once served a 16-month doping suspension. King later explaining,
"You're shaking your finger, number one, and you've been caught for drug cheating. I'm just not, not a fan."
And then Lily went on to win the 100 metre breaststroke at the Olympics, and it was probably one of the best races ever, but that is not in my top 5 list. My number 5 spot is from the World Championship in 2017. So as I said, it was a very stacked field. Lily, like she always does, she takes out very fast, and she was first at 50 metres. And then on the second half of the race, you could see Efimova slowly crawling her back a little bit, like a metre by metre. But then Lily just seemed to have like a second wind and started to pull away from Efimova as well as the world record line, and she touched in first with a new world record time of 104.1. and as you can see, Lily is very happy by that swim. The thing with Lily and why it's my number 5 spot is she can talk the talk, but she can use the swimming to back up her talking, and it just goes to show from that swim there, getting a world record and being world champion. She's a very powerful swimmer, and her mentality when it comes to racing is very good. So that is why she is in my number 5 spot. Coming in number 4 is Katinka Hosszu in the 200 metre individual medley at the World Championships in 2015. Katinka Hosszu has been very dominating in this event, as well as the 400 IM. She's been dominating this event since 2013. So as you can see, Katinka Hosszu was leading from the very start, and this is what she always likes to do. She uses her best strokes to her advantage. She leads off on the fly leg first, and her main stroke is backstroke, so she was able to pull away from the field on that leg of the race. Onto the breaststroke leg, it's not really her best stroke really, but she was able to have one of the fastest splits in the field for the breaststroke leg, and as you can see, she's right on top of world record pace. And as you can see on the freestyle leg, she gave absolutely everything, and as you can see, the world record line was slowly catching up to it, and at one point it looked as though that the world record line overtook her, but somehow she was managed to get the world record by 0.03, so just by a little fingernail touch. And as you can see by the emotion on Katinka's face, that was her first ever long course world record. She had a very successful 2014 short course world championships where she secured a lot of world records and gold medals, but I think this one really meant to her the most because it was her first long course world record. The previous world record stood for 6 years, and that was done in the supersuit era, like I mentioned in my top 5 male video, and to go 206 is a very, very fast time. So that's why Katinka is my number 4 spot. Now we're starting to get in our top 3 again. Coming in at number 3 is Regan Smith, 200 meter backstroke at the World Championships in 2019. Now this isn't the final of the 200 meter backstroke, this is the second semi-final. Regan Smith was going in the youngest into this event, and I think she was the youngest out of the whole World Championship, age 17, and she qualified fastest going into the semi-finals. In the heat of the 200 meter backstroke, she was able to break her own World Junior record, so she was definitely on course to have a pretty good 200 backstroke semi-final. This event was one of the last days of the World Championships, and this was the only event that Regan qualified for. So she had a pretty long wait in seeing other Team USA teammates swimming, so it must have gave an excited feeling to get in and race. So as you can see, Regan leads from the very start. She's half a second under world record pace at the 50 meter mark, and she just pulls away from a competition from a body length to 2 body lengths. And at the 100 meter mark, she was still under world record pace. On the first 50 meters, she seemed to pick up the pace a little bit, and she was under by world record pace. It looked as though that she was on course for a very, very good swim. She continues to pull away from the field, and then she continues to pull away from the world record line that was previously held by Missy Franklin, where she'd done that at the London 2012 Olympic Games, and a lot of people thought that this world record would stand. But as you can see, Regan is just dominating this swim, and she was able to touch in a time of 2:03.3. And as you can tell, she was very shocked by that swim, because she honestly thought that she would go about just a little bit faster than what she did in the heat, but no, she managed to break the world record in the semi-final. After that semi-final, she went on to win that 200 meter backstroke. She just went slightly slower than she did in the semi-final, but regardless, it was still a very impressive swim. She was then selected to do the 4x100 medley relay for the women on the last day. On the backstroke leg, she led off and she broke the 100 meter backstroke world record leading off, and then the rest of her teammates were able to break the 4x100 medley world record as well. So she managed to break 3 world records in the space of 3 days. Now that is very, very impressive and a very successful world championship. So that's why she's my number 3 spot. Now coming in at number 2 is Alice Thomas, 200 meter butterfly at the Commonwealth Games in 2018 in the Gold Coast. Now I don't have a video for this, so I'll briefly explain what happened. Alice was the fastest qualifier going into this final, but all what Alice wanted to do was to see if she could go faster and potentially even secure a medal, regardless of what colour it was. Now this was a very dominating swim by Alice. She led from the very start. She'd done 10 to 15 metres off every single wall and was hitting her targeted stroke counts every length that she wanted to, so she pretty much executed her perfect race. She won the race with a time of 2:05.4, which was a 2-second PB, and was able to break the Commonwealth Games record. And I believe she was like the top 5 fastest in the world in 2018 with that time. And as you can see, her reaction was priceless, as she just didn't expect that type of swim at all. But the main reason why this swim is my number 2 spot was from her post-race interview. Take a look at this.
Arrived on the world scene, and I'm so excited about the next 2 years going towards Tokyo, because there's more to come.
I mean, the whole thing is my age. You know, I'm 27 and this is my first major international medal. I'm finally breaking through now, and you know, it says something about, you know, don't give up when you're young. You know, just plenty of time. You just gotta be patient. God, be patient. And it will come. Just work hard and be patient.
That interview was a very emotional interview, as you can tell. That was Alice's first international medal at the age of 27. And what she said, rightly so, is be patient and persevere, and the rewards will come. And that gave me goosebumps watching that interview, and even watching the race. It was a very special race for Alice, but it was a very special race to watch for everyone, I'm sure it was. And that race really inspired me to keep on going and made me love the sport of swimming even more. I will leave a link in the description of the full interview if you would like to watch it. I would really recommend watching it. It's a truly inspiring interview. So that's why Alice Thomas is my number 2 spot. Now, coming in at number 1, and it wouldn't be a tier list without having Katie Ledecky. So my number 1 spot goes to Katie Ledecky's 400 meter freestyle at the Rio Olympics in 2016. Now this was Katie Ledecky's first race of the Olympic Games. It's always like a nerve-wracking feeling of about to do your first race of a major competition, or a competition that you tapered for, because you never know what it's going to be like or where it's going to go. It can either go really, really good, or it can go the complete other way. So obviously you have to swim in the heats before you qualify for the final. And in the heats, Katie was able to drop a 3:58 and broke the Olympic record and was just milliseconds away from breaking her own world record. So you could tell that Katie Ledecky was on track for a very, very good Olympic Games, and especially in the 400 meter freestyle. So it came to the final of the 400 meter freestyle, and as you can see, Katie Ledecky is just off like a shot, and she's already nearly half a body length, or if not a body length, ahead of the rest of her competition at the 50 meter mark. Katie was under world record pace from the very first 50 meters and continued to stay under that world record pace, if not go even faster, throughout the duration of that race. She went a 1:57 at the 200 meter mark. Now, a lot of female athletes would be very, very happy with a 1:57 for a 200 meter freestyle individually, never mind Katie going at 1:57 halfway in a 400 meter freestyle. So you can tell this was a spine-chilling race she was on course for. On the last length of the 400 meter freestyle, as you can tell, she was a body length ahead of world record, and she touched the wall with a time of 3:56, which she previously beat her own world record by 2 seconds. And after that race, you could tell that Katie Ledecky was on course for a very special Olympic, and indeed she was. For the rest of the week, Katie was able to secure an extra 3 gold medals in the 200 meter freestyle, 800 meter freestyle, and the 4x200 freestyle relay for women, and she was able to secure a silver medal in the 4x100 freestyle relay as well. So you could say that Katie Ledecky had a very successful Olympic Games, and that is my top 5 list. Let me know down in the comments what your top 5 female races would be. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and check out my social medias and when I'll be posting next. I put on my Instagram last week that I was thinking about doing an interview/podcast series on my YouTube channel, and yep, I'm definitely going to be doing that. I'm hoping to do that every couple of weeks and get special guests to interview. I've already managed to organise my next interview, so stay tuned for when that will be released. And until my next video, I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.